Can you hear me? Yes. All right. So my name is Rabia Khedr. I'm the National Director of Disability Without Poverty, and it's my pleasure to be here today with you, standing in solidarity for your ask and our ask. We know that people with disabilities and people without disabilities living in poverty are tremendously food insecure, are struggling to have access to food, to basic food, let alone good food. Canada, as a first world developed nation that prides itself on its quality of life in this country, should be ashamed of itself, should deeply regret the state of our people in this country who are living in poverty. And particularly, the most vulnerable members of our society are people with disabilities, all types of disabilities, and particularly people who end up in congregate care when they have intellectual disabilities, for example. Provincial benefits are absolutely inadequate because they're well below the poverty line, 52 poverty lines to be exact across this country, let alone the disability poverty line. It actually costs more to live with a disability in our society due to the systemic and structural barriers that we have. Provincial benefits keep people in legislated poverty. It's about time that our government has recognized and that our MPs and elected officials in our parliamentary system galvanize support to fast-track the Canada Disability Benefit. This is Bill C-22. It's on the table. It's gone through second reading, and its debate is continuing in second reading tomorrow. We are hoping that it passes and gets forwarded in the parliamentary process and is, in fact, fast-tracked as is. We know there are lots and lots of questions because it's a framework bill. But folks, we have people with lived experience leading the charge. We have a minister living with a disability, and I'm saying this in a non-partisan scope. I don't care what party or color the minister represents. I would stand in solidarity with any person with the power to make decisions who has lived experience today to change the circumstances of people with disabilities living in poverty. C-22 is a framework. We want it passed as is. The more details you add, you bring out the devil. Everybody keeps saying the devil's in the details. Well, guess what? If we start talking details, the devil will win. We will get nowhere. We're in a minority government state. The opportunity is ripe to galvanize everybody to do the right thing. People with disabilities were forgotten in this pandemic. They were absolutely forgotten. Working class Canadians, working age Canadians got CERB at a snap of a finger. Couple of clicks on the computer and $2,000 in your bank. No means testing, no income test, very little income testing in terms of you had to prove your ability to work. And to be making money, you had to show that you made the minimum threshold, which was next to nothing, to get CERB, because we wanted our economy strong. We wanted money circulating. Well, guess what? When you give more money to people with disabilities living in poverty, they are not going to hoard it like the 1%. They're not going to get rich out of it. They're going to spend it. They are going to spend it on their basic needs, basic needs, like food, like shelter, like hygiene products, like painkillers over the counter. People with disabilities are facing more and more barriers and are combating all sorts of structural and systemic problems exacerbated through the pandemic, and feel further marginalized, further neglected, further abandoned by our system, in fact, forgotten. But when it comes to MAID, because they're given the medical assistance in dying option because they can't live in financial dignity because of the fact that minimum financial programs across this province meet their minimal needs and just barely. In Ontario, ODSP was $1,169, and now it's $1,227. People living in congregate care, guess what? The group homes, the agencies, they took a chunk of that 5% increase. People in reality only got $5 extra a month. What can you buy with $5 today? Certainly not good food. Certainly you cannot feed yourself appropriately. There will be more and more stories like my friend Wayne that I met in a parking lot asking me to buy him dinner. When we walk out of Costco's and superstores with an abundance of fresh food and produce and other goods, people like Wayne are waiting for us outside to give them a meal as an act of charity. That shouldn't be the case. That is not dignity. That is not equality. That is in violation of our charter rights, our international obligations under the Convention on the Rights of People with Disabilities and any other charter that we have signed on to, any other convention, covenant that we have made, saying that we are going to meet the hopes and aspirations of basic dignity of all human beings in this country, of basic human rights. Poverty shouldn't be in this country of abundance. We just need Parliament to do the right thing. It's simple, it's easy. Fast track C-22. Give people with disabilities the dignity they need because they have access to basic financial resources that they need, that they will spend into our economy. People with disabilities contribute $47 billion in this country to our economy. Let's give them a few billion more to continue investing in our small businesses, in continuing to invest in opportunities to employ people, to support them, to transport them, etc., etc., etc. Let's stand in solidarity to fast track this benefit, pass C-22 in 2022, budget the benefit in spring 2023, deliver the funds to people with disabilities by fall 2024. That's what we're here to ask for. Let's stand together to end disability poverty in the pathway to end poverty for all Canadians. 41% of people living in poverty are disabled. Let's start with them and tackle 100%. Thank you.